Welcome back to Just Vetting, where we go beyond the clinic walls to talk business, ownership, and leadership in the veterinary world. Today, I'm speaking with Dr. Victor Katz, owner of Muddy Branch Veterinary Center in Maryland, which he founded back in 1994. In 2023, Dr. Katz made the strategic decision to sell 49% of his practice to his associate. We're going to talk about what led to that transition, how he knew she was ready for ownership, what worked and what didn't work along the way. So Victor, thanks for being here today.
Happy to be here.
So let's get right into it. What made 2023 the right time to bring on a partner after owning and operating the practice, which you founded for almost 29 years?
Lisa Chalberg is my new partner. She has been an associate in the previous 10 years, and it just seemed right. Plus, I'm 62 years old, and I was interested in looking at an exit strategy somewhere down the road in the next 5 to 6 years. The timing was perfect. I also probably did not want to sell to a corporate consolidator. That was a major importance for me. And whatever money the corporate consolidators are throwing around, which at this point is still significant numbers, if I sold to Lisa, Dr. Chalberg now and hung around for 4, 5, 6 years, which is my plan, I'm making far more in distributions still at my 51% rate than I would be if the corporate consolidator sold to me right out.
Yeah,
so it works for me business-wise.
Right. That's a great point that you bring up, and we talk about this a lot with a lot of our clients. I noticed a big swing starting in January of 2023. Everybody knows about the corporate boom that occurred in 22 and 21 and 20, but in 2023, a lot of them put their pencils down, and it slowed down, and it's still active today. But I use that as the starting point where a lot of our clients like yourself were looking for a different way or transitioning back to figuring out, okay, maybe selling to corporate is not what I want to do. How can I come up with a creative solution to sell a part or all of it or a piece of it to one of my associates? And for all the reasons you're talking about, and you're planning obviously properly because you're 62, so you need to have a succession plan in place. What were some of your early hesitations or concerns when you were thinking about with this transition?
Initially, it's just timing. Why would I decrease my distribution? We are a VMG practice, veterinary management group, so our EBITDA is pretty high compared to most practices across the country. We're averaging probably about 25%. Why would I want to sort of decrease that amount? I've been at it long enough. We're doing well enough. The practice is doing great. But at this point, another factor is keeping Dr. Chalberg around. So me basically working on selling her at this point in time, there's a lot of flux with veterinarians. One of our veterinarians younger associates was with us for 1 year and 4 months and left. That's what a lot of the associates do now. So now that Lisa's tied in, she's not going anywhere.
She has skin in the game is what we call it, right?
Yep. She has skin in she's not going anywhere. She's great. Running a practice by myself gets tiresome. We've divided things up. She does a lot of the HR stuff. I do a lot of management stuff. It works pretty well.
Yeah.
Mommy, I'm on a podcast. Sorry about that, Peter.
No problem. Yeah, you found yourself a
hopefully
true
you can sort of
partner.
get rid of
You
that
know, you
part.
found yourself a true partner in her. A couple of things I'm hearing there. One, you found yourself a true partner. Two, we talk a lot about culture and legacy. Culturally, you had peace of mind that the practice that you started, the vision that you had, it's going to continue, and especially with the legacy. Bringing on somebody like Lisa, to continue, and build upon the legacy that you started. Um, in terms of Lisa in particular, how did you know, or when did it come about, in your mind, that she was the right person to take on ownership?
It's like a relationship, and there's always a scary part. She's been with me for 10 years. She did decide at one point earlier when she was with me to go on a vision quest and went somewhere else.
Okay.
She was back in 6 months. We have a good practice. She came back. We have another recent associate that left about a year ago, and she came back 2 months ago. So we have that type of practice where it
Mm-hmm.
works. We leave doors open. She and I have been talking about this off and on for a while. It's almost like dating. The question is, will it work after the relationship is more solidified? And it was a little trepidatious for me, definitely for her, because she has a huge business loan. She has some risk also. But so far, a year and a half plus in, it's the best decision both of us ever made so far.
I love the fact that you said dating. It really is. Whenever, I used, your business, your practice, it's like your house. Whenever you're going to let somebody into your house, you want to make sure it's the right person, especially when you're going to, there's going to be equity, given or no acquired. Um, you really want to make sure it's the right person. So you're spot on. You should date. They can make sure culture you're aligned. Philosophy are the same. Your medicine is the same. Your business, ideas are the same. So I agree with you 100%. Um,
I mean, it
yeah.
works out pretty well also. It's like there's some strength each of us brings to the table. We had a recent employee that was just not quite working
Mm-hmm.
out right for different reasons. She was a little toxic, and Lisa's definitely taken the HR position really well. And I would say after three warnings, you're out, we were ready to basically cut
Mm-hmm.
her loose. And Lisa said she wanted to try one more time. She spent a little bit of extra time with her, just had that thing she wanted to try, and it worked. That employee is a huge, valuable asset. She is a great technician, and she is a huge, integral working part of our team right now, much better than she was. And Lisa figured out how to work it out with her. It
Yeah.
works.
Like I said, a true partnership. And you said early on, you two figured out how to divide and conquer what strengths you have and what strengths she has in order to bring them together and strengthen the partnership overall. Did you at any point talk with any other potential buyers, or was it always Lisa in your mind?
When you are a private ownership, it's difficult to get the right
Mm-hmm.
person. Not a lot of veterinarians want to do this. They would rather be an associate. Lisa had an interest rather quickly. We've been talking about it off and on. It's far easier to talk with a corporate consolidator because I still get emails from them half a dozen times a month. Um, uh, it's just something we started talking about and it seemed to work. I have other friends of mine that have tried this and it didn't work. Lisa got good advice from her. I mean, what also worked well for us is using you as our mediator person, bringing us together for how we're going to do this. There's sometimes what happen not that doesn't work for everybody, but what we did not want to do is have her get a lawyer, me get a lawyer, and then arguing.
Right.
Your group seemed to help us. I thought it was pretty easy for
Right.
us. It was probably easy for you because we just wanted to do this. Um, I've had other friends that have done this that the other legal entity or accountant got in
Yeah.
the way. They didn't understand veterinary medicine. Um, the buy-in was just not going where it should be. You really need to get somebody that understands veterinary medicine, how to do this. Your group knows how to do
Well, I
that.
appreciate the unsolicited plug. Thank you. I was going to ask you for that. No, no, but in all seriousness, I appreciate that. Thank you. And there's a couple things there to kind of break that down. And talking about us, I always, when I have clients call me, I want to know who their team is, who's in place, and we talk about that. And for all the reasons you just said, having the right team in place, we pride ourselves on being deal makers, not deal breakers. It's not my job to say, oh, Victor, you can't do this, or Lisa, you can't do that. We talk about the issues. You guys are the clients at the end of the day. It's your deal. You know what the issues are, and then you make the decision. So, and then obviously, specializing in veterinary medicine, it's certainly something that I always, talk with our clients about, because to your point, you understand what the issues are, so you can talk with your clients about it. One other thing you mentioned earlier, you mentioned you've been a longtime member of VMG, and I'm going to give an unsolicited plug to VMG because I find all of my clients who are members of VMG, it's just their operations and the way they practice and the way they approach practice, it's just different. It's just the next level. So my next question to you is, what steps did you take to prepare for the ownership transfer? Financial, legal, cultural, and in being a VMG member, was that helpful for you to kind of download and dialogue with other members while you were planning for this transition?
It was a significant factor in this. For those that are listening, VMG is Veterinary Management Groups. In 1994, a group of 20 veterinarians got together from across the country to compare data. They can't be near each other, otherwise it's called collusion. And it's morphed from 20 veterinarians to over 2,000 veterinary practices. We are bigger than any corporation. And it's not just a buying group, because we get really good deals from most of the bigger entities that are selling us things for our veterinary practices. But we meet twice a year. In our little group, I have a group of 20 veterinarians that I'm
What
involved
number are
with.
you? What
And
number?
I'm number
Number
27.
27. All right.
And I think we're up, and I know we're up above
Yeah,
65 now.
right.
The meetings could be budgeting, talking about potential consolidation. One of the best meetings I went to was all about work-life balance and positive culture. If my employees are going to their car with their key fob in their hand at the end of the day, if they're not happy to come back to work the next day, there's a problem. But there is an accounting group we work with, Katz, and Miller, that has a veterinary division. And they give us lots of advice on how we can do better with our practices. And talking with them time and time again, they told us if we did it the right way, it's far better to sell to if it's the right person, it's like a relationship, it's a marriage. I've heard this so many times from the people in this entity that if it works, it's far better for me, less stressful to sell to an associate if it works than the corporate consolidator, which comes in at 15 times the number and they start taking out this, this, and this, and this. Yes, I gave Lisa a huge break, probably 50% less than I would if I went corporate consolidation. But I'm going to make, as I said earlier, I'm going to make that up in no time. I learned how to do that by being in VMG.
Right. In what you said in terms of, it's got to be the right fit. No, when clients ask me, well, what should I do? We talk about it, but it's got to, what works for you may not work for your colleague, who's got a practice in, Virginia. It's got to work for you. You educated yourself on the issues, and financially what was going to work, and it just made sense for you. So, made perfect sense. And having that group there to talk about these issues, and I'm very familiar with KSM. We do a lot of work with that group. They're absolutely fantastic. So again, going back to who's your team, putting the right team in place, in order. makes the transition go so much smoother. Yeah,
I mean, it
yeah.
definitely does. Like, just to just talk about KSM, there's another really close friend of mine. He used to be in our VMG group. He wanted to sell to his associate. She had an accountant that did not understand veterinary medicine, and they were not even close. And if she had an advisor that knew veterinary medicine, which is the numbers, she wouldn't have been asking for what she was
Right,
asking for. And he was very
right,
frustrated. He ended up going corporate. So you have to have a team, both of you, that understand veterinary medicine. Otherwise, it's
right.
not
And
going
you
to
say
work.
the word frustrated, and the last thing you want to do is be frustrated. You're spending time and money, and you're not getting the answer. You're not getting that. It's like the right answers, and it's because you're trying to put a square peg in a round hole. Um,
Exactly.
and it really is. It's just that simple. I years ago I had a deal, a client I was representing, like I was on Lisa's side representing somebody buying in, and the owner, his practice manager went out and got a lawyer for him, and it was like a friend's friend at like a golf club, with the letter of intent. That guy changed every word on that letter of intent other than is and or the. The transaction took a year. And it should have taken 90 days. And it just put my client and his client through the ringer. And talk about level of frustration. All I could say was unfortunate. And didn't need to be that way. Why you want the right team in place. Yeah.
For both sides, because if it's not, I mean, veterinary practices are different. Um, my father-in-law is a retired plastic surgeon. He has no idea why the average veterinary practice across the country might be making 12, 13
Mm-hmm.
cents on the dollar. Average VMG practice is 18 to 19 cents on the dollar. Uh, the top practices are 25 to 30% on the dollar. He went into his office. He had a secretary and somebody other helper. He went into the hospital, did his surgery, and then he came back. He got his profit, and then he came
Right.
back. He doesn't have to buy anesthetic machines. He doesn't have to buy radiology machines. He does not understand this. He thinks 25 cents on the dollar, you should be making 60 to
Right.
70 cents.
Right.
He has no clue. So if you get a lawyer or an accountant that doesn't understand this business either, you're set up to fail.
Great point. Set up to fail. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And then one other thing, comparing your father-in-law's practice to yours, I've been a lawyer almost 30 years now, and I've represented a lot of other businesses outside of the veterinary space now where I focus all my time. And, one thing I find here, now money is important to everybody. It's human nature. But culturally, I find my clients in the veterinary industry are just different. When you have a client who may be looking to sell their practice for X millions of dollars, they say, "Great, I'm going to get this, but how are they going to treat my staff? What is the vision for my team?" You don't find that outside this space. They're going to sell a widget company. You're
Nope.
like, "How much money am I getting at closing?" Great, end of story. It's just different the way I find it culturally.
And a lot of times with those sales, after the sale, the people working for you are gone.
Right.
Either A, they're leaving because they don't like the culture change, or B, they're gone because they want to bring in their own people. We sort of joked around with the staff after we finalized with the last signatures, and we have staff meetings several
Mm-hmm.
times a month. And we walked into the staff meeting after this was done, and I wanted to tease the staff a little bit. So I said, I wanted you all to know that I've just sold part of Muddy Branch Veterinary Center, and I am no longer the sole owner. And the staff was like really stressed. Like they all just stopped breathing. And then I said, and Dr. Chalberg is now my partner. And they all started cheering. We get a lot of technicians from local corporate entities. Some of them are good, not all, but some of them just treat the staff differently. We work on positive
Right.
culture.
So overall, and it's funny. It's funny you went down that path, because my next question was going to be, how did the staff respond to the news in a transition? And obviously, from what you're saying, it was extremely positive. It was like a breath of fresh air. Great, it's going to be her.
Yep, and they could not be happier. They were us. I probably shouldn't have teased them like that because they were. It was like about 5 to 10 seconds of a pause, and I said, "And Dr. Talberg
Right.
is now our. We are now partners." And they're like, they were ready to kill me at one point, but then no, they were very very happy, and they're still happy. It's keeping them happy is very important.
So let's talk candidly for a moment. What parts of the transaction did you feel went really well, and if any, what caught you off guard or didn't go as planned? Can you think of any?
Um, we both wanted to do
Mm,
it. Like I think by the end of the day, she did have a veterinary evaluator, practice evaluator, look over all the data. I had
hmm
KSM, and by the end of the day, we were like $20,000 apart or
Right.
something like
Right.
that. So which is great. That's where you want to be. We split the difference. I gave her the extra dime. It was
Right.
fine. Um, the I have 51. She has 49. Um, uh, Everything's pretty equal. We have equal say. Theoretically, I have, if push comes to shove, I have one extra percentage point if there's a problem and we're negotiating something like, I want this equipment, she wants that, what do we do? Or something. We never really get that
hmm
far because we just agree. It just works really well. I think the surprise at the end was when one of your lawyers sat us down at the end and went through all these special things like if this occurs, this occurs, this
Yeah.
occurs. That took like 2 to 3 days. We weren't expecting
Right.
that. What do you call that?
In terms of the
Um,
buy sell arrangements and
it was at the very
right.
end, they sat down and talked with us about if if this occurs, this will happen. If this occurs, I can't remember what it's
hmm
called. That was about 2 to 3 days of just, we're veterinarians, we're not
Right.
lawyers. I'm sure your lawyer had a great time going over with us,
Yeah.
but we were frazzled by the end of
Right.
that.
Because, I use the analogy of going into your hospital with my dog. She may be scratching furiously and I don't know what the heck's going on. And I come in there and then you're like, Pete, it's this, or this. What do you want to do? And I'm like, Dr. Katz, that's great. I'm okay with doing this, but I have no idea what you're talking about. The other two things. So, we're doing the same thing, the same approach, kind of educating you, walking you through, your new partnership agreement now, which you never had before.
Yep,
Right. So you want to understand the terms and conditions of that partnership agreement, especially, you're 40, you're 51-49. So at the end of the day, you still the majority owner. And, if you become totally disabled, what happens? If you
yep,
die, what happens? If one of you loses your
yep,
license, what happens? Things like that. Those are what we call the
yep,
buy sell provisions within the agreement. And
yep,
there's mechanisms in place. That buy sell agreement, that partnership agreement, to your point of dating, now that you're married, you have your prenuptial agreement, you're getting into your partnership while you're on good terms. How are you guys going to get out if one of you wants to exit prematurely? A good partnership agreement is your roadmap for that. Gets you in and gets you out. So hopefully, if one of you guys wanted to separate earlier, you go to that partnership agreement. Okay, I want to withdraw. How do I do it? And it should be all spelled out in that agreement. While you guys were on good terms, it worked for you. You agreed on a fair exit, and that's what you want to use it, because the last thing you want to do is get lawyers involved on the back end, and you start fighting again, like we're
yep,
talking about. That's the whole idea: spending the time and money, really understanding that agreement, because that's your prenup. You could put it in a drawer, and then if something comes up, it sounds like the issue hasn't come up, because I was going to ask you about what's been the approach for decision making. And you say you just sit down as co-owners, you sit down, you talk about it. You haven't had
yep.
issues like that, and I already hear you saying what's been the most rewarding thing about having Lisa as a partner, you being able to have that open line of communication, you being able to divide and conquer with her, in terms of as a true partner. Even though you're not 50-50, you treat her as a 50% partner in your practice.
definitely all that stuff, the partnership agreement had to be discussed. It was like
Yeah.
line by line, and it was several days, and we're glad it's all done. It had
Right.
to be done, but that was the most, for us,
Right.
tiresome. But and for us, and again, we're lucky it works for us. Um, Periodically, something comes up, we just
Yeah.
talk. Most of the time, it's me that I might have messed up a communication issue or something, and she says, "All right, can I talk to you?" It's like, "What did I do wrong?" And she tells me, and it's like, "All right, I won't do that again." Every once, it's just you really, it's communication. You have to be able to talk. Don't push stuff under the rugs. The more that you communicate, less chance of it blowing up later,
I
type
love
thing.
it. I know. I love it. It's communicate, communicate, communicate. You're in a relationship, whether it's a personal one or a business one. That's the best way you're going to maintain that relationship and thrive in it. If you're communicating, something's not bothering you, you tell them. Why sit there and let it bother you? What advice would you give? One of your colleagues who's considering bringing on an associate as a partner.
One helps if they're in BMG. They can look it up. We're always looking for new members. It's a huge positive organization that can give them worlds of advice. When I was talking about doing this, I have a couple people in my group that have already done this before, so I talk with them about what they were doing. Uh, I've done some of this before some of
Mm-hmm.
the others, and they've talked with me. Then getting a team that works well and knows veterinary medicine. You are our team. I had a really good accounting firm, KSM, that knows veterinary medicine. Lisa found another firm to evaluate instead of the friend's
Mm-hmm.
accountant. I mean, you need a good team that knows veterinary medicine. Um, I would not do this, I think, if the associate was only there for 6 months. It's dating. You want to get to know them. Lisa and I knew each other for 10 years. Um, it doesn't hurt. It definitely helps that Lisa's husband and my wife really like
Right.
us, type thing. Like my wife loves Lisa. John totally respects me. So that if there is something, my wife will say, "Hey, I see where Lisa's coming from and get it," type thing. I mean, it's just there's other factors that come involved. But the biggest thing is just the team approach. You and KSM help make sure that this worked well. Yes, you do need things in place if it doesn't work that we can get out of it,
Right.
type thing. But so far, it's working
Great.
pretty well.
Great to hear. Thank you. What's your vision for the future of Muddy Branch now that you have a partner?
Um, I would like to be done by the time probably about 5 years out
Mhm.
from now. Uh, and at that point, things are going well enough. Lisa has a significant loan. Most of it should be paid back. She's cash flow is important. We're making pretty much good enough cash flow where she's paying her loan back plus getting extra. So she's comfortable. So hopefully 7 years from now, things will be well enough that she can go back to the bank to get the loan for the rest. We'll have it evaluated again. At that point, I would like to be working a lot less. Can't complain now. I'm probably averaging about 23, 24 hours a
Right.
week on the floor, not including management, which is a lot of other stuff. But then when I retire, it's like 1 day a week, 8 hours, 6 hours, or
Right.
something like that. Uh, won't be doing surgery as much. I just did a pretty cool exploratory a couple days ago, a cystotomy a couple days ago before that. But I think I'm getting towards the point where surgery is not going to be the thing, but I'm a very good diagnostician. I won't be
Right.
bored. I mean, I like to read. I'm active. I like to hike. We love the outdoors. We have this idea. We live outside Washington, D.C. right now, but we would like to end up in Seattle, living in West Seattle for like 6 months to a year or so, just to sort of play with it or
Cool.
something like that.
Um,
So,
I feel like I'm living in West Seattle right now, and here in New Jersey, the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, it's just nonstop gray skies and raining. I guess that's my vision of what Seattle would be like in some parts. But no, I'm sure. Listen, you got to have goals. You've worked hard. You want to have plans, and you couldn't be in a better spot to be outdoors. Moving out west. What excites you most about not so much where the practice is headed. What about the profession? What are your thoughts on that? As someone who's started a practice, built a hugely successful practice, successfully onboarded a partner, and now it's kind of slowly pivoting towards a full transition. Where do you see the profession is headed?
It's definitely changing. Corporate consolidation is definitely slowing down. Um, there is definitely, I mean, it's not going to change. Still, a lot of the practices across the country are owned by corporate entities, but it's changing. A lot of the corporate consolidators are getting out of the game. Some of them are
Mhm.
downsizing because the industry is slowing down. It's not like what it was in COVID where everything was going crazy. Um, it's getting somewhat easier, at least we can see in the wins, that to hire veterinarians because there's several more veterinary schools and such coming out. So it's still we're looking for another associate now, just because I would like to be working less. Dr. Chalberg would like to be working more, doing rehab with her rehab certification and such. We're getting some feelers, but it's easier now. I see that
Mhm.
changing. Technology is changing. We have an automatic dictation service now that does all our record keeping. So I can just put my iPhone on the table, talk through the client, what's going on. This is the exam going on, and it's cut out hours of record keeping by each day. So that's helping a lot. Technology is really improving things. The field's changing so many ways in
Right.
positive ways.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. It's an exciting time, and it's interesting to see what the next 3 to 5 years is going to bring. And I'm really hoping, in terms of adding more veterinarians, that's going to be first and foremost, because I think that's one of the issues we talk about with our clients almost on a daily basis. And you and I, we're talking offline before we hopped on here. You know, if you could, you probably can add another associate to your practice right now if you could find that person. It's just hard. It's hard.
Yes. We just lost one recently that decided she wanted to try something different. Her other associate, again, mentioned it, left a year ago, came
Right.
back to us. She likes it, and she's staying for quite a while. Sometimes the younger associates want to try different things. We are now trying to hire another one for like full time for us is like 30 hours a week. That's
Hmm.
not bad at a pretty good salary benefits package. Um, we will find somebody eventually. But I think over the next several years, it's going to be easier and easier to do that. It goes back and forth. It's starting to swing this way again. We can sort of see the
It's
change
good.
coming.
It's good. So before we close, I was looking at your bio earlier today. I don't know when the last
Uh-oh.
time you took a look
Uh-oh.
at your bio. So let me ask, what does it mean to be, what did I see on there? A great, what is that? A great house husband. What does that mean?
Um,
I
I
see you like to cook. I
do
like you
most.
like cooking.
I
Yeah.
do the cooking. I cook 6 out of 7 days out of the week. I do the grocery shopping. I do the laundry. Our oldest is living in Chicago. She works for the Steppenwolf Theater. She's following her dream of theater. She directs on the side. Our son is 28, works in London. He works for this small startup. I think I'm going to buy their stock. I think it's going to be big someday. It's called
Google. There
Google.
you go.
And our youngest is 13, going into eighth grade. I do a lot of the getting her where she needs to be for her travel soccer team and such like that. My wife is special. She is probably the one of the top knowledgeable lawyers on immigration law in the
Mm,
entire country, and she is busy. She does a lot of cool stuff, and she is I doing what I do helps her do what she
right.
does.
And
So,
that again, a credit to the practice that you built. You built a successful
yep,
practice, and you're able to do all those things, really lean into your family, um, because of the successful practice that you built. That's a real credit to you.
yeah, I cannot complain. I'm averaging. It's successful enough. I'm pulling back a really comfortable income, only averaging
It's
probably
great.
25 hours a week
Yeah.
on the floor seeing
That's where
clients.
you want to be. Well, I think it's a credit to you. credit, you learning and listening and the BMG, your advisors. It's great. You talked about your son, I guess the one over in Europe. Is he the one who went to, did I see Michigan? Is he a Michigan grad? How does that
Yeah,
feel?
we sort of
You know, I saw you're an Ohio State grad. I just said, I had to ask you about it.
He went to Michigan. Yes, he got a great education. Got out of there in 3 years. Uh, Started working for Microsoft in
Right.
Seattle right out of school. He comes up to me and he's talking about the job and he goes, "Dad, what is 401k?" And it's like, "Why are you asking?" He goes, "What does it mean that they're matching 50%?" I said, "Take the job. They're giving you free money."
Right. Wait. Go back to when he got the admission letter to Michigan. How was that conversation in that household? You were okay with it?
It's what I've noticed with most Ohio
Yeah.
State people is like there's this
Right.
rivalry. It is what it is. What I've noticed a lot about Michigan people, they're just angry. I mean, it's just like, it's like it's a different mentality, but I
Yeah.
was fine. It got a great
Great.
education.
No, I love it. So, listen, I want to thank you, Victor, for being, a guest here and sharing your insights on, being a practice owner, having, being a successful practice owner who brought on an associate. I really appreciate your time and your thoughts. And I think our listeners are going to appreciate it as well.
Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun.